Russia caused a food crisis to remove sanctions. Although there is no food blockade by Russia, Russia is still blocking and plundering Ukrainian grain exports. Russia and Ukraine are the largest wheat producers in the world, accounting for about 20% and 10% of wheat exports accordingly. Experts say the disruptions will affect global food supplies, and Russia makes great efforts to stop Ukrainian grain exports. The United States says there is evidence that Russia is trying to sell looted grain to drought-stricken African countries. In contrast, sanctions against Russia are not related to the blockade of grain, which it can freely transport by sea. The sanctions imposed by the United States, the European Union, and other allies, with some exceptions, are not related to food, fertilizers, and seeds. The European Council called on Russia to immediately stop attacking agricultural facilities and grain exports and to unblock the Black Sea, particularly the port of Odessa, to allow grain exports and trade. The European Council supports the efforts of the United Nations Secretary-General in this regard. In addition, European leaders called on the European Commission and EU member states to work together with international partners and organizations to address food insecurity. At the June 6 UN Security Council meeting, EU Council President Charles Michel addressed Russia's UN representative, Vasily Nebenzia. The Kremlin uses food stocks as an invisible missile against developing countries, Michel said. The consequences of the Russian war are spreading around the world, inflating food prices, pauperizing people, and destabilizing entire regions. Russia is fully responsible for this food crisis. Only Russia, despite the Kremlin's campaign of lies and disinformation, he concluded. The efforts to lift Russia's embargo haven't succeeded so far, and the UN Food and Agriculture Organization predicts that up to 181 million people in 41 countries could face a more serious food crisis or famine this year because of the war in Ukraine. Britain offers assistance in shipping Ukrainian grain from its ports under a United Nations plan aimed at preventing mass starvation in Africa, where the war in Ukraine caused food prices to rise sharply. African countries import nearly half of their wheat from Russia and Ukraine. Nearly all of Somalia's wheat comes from Ukraine and Russia, and according to the United Nations, 13 million people are already suffering severe famine as the drought continues.